KoitCast.
Hi, Rebecca, and welcome to KoitCast.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. Much appreciated. Let's start off with who are you? Who are you? Where you from? All that good stuff.
Okay, I'm Rebecca. I'm from New Orleans originally. I currently live in Colorado. Yes. Yeah. You want more? Okay, like my family and
Yeah, well,
stuff?
a little bit more than that. That'd be
Okay,
good.
okay. I was being too literal. Okay, so I come, I have part of what I talk about is I have an interfaith family, but I was also raised really skeptically. So when I did have my spiritual experience that we're going to get to later, I
Hmm.
was very shocked and confused. My dad's an MD, PhD, so he's a doctor with a PhD in biochemistry, and my mom's a psychologist. So I
Ooh,
came
so
from a pretty
you're fighting the logic then, aren't you?
yeah, I was fighting the
Yes, I love it.
logic. But then I had a stepdad who came from a medicine tradition who entered my life in my 20s. So he helped me a lot because he was like, this is normal, basically. So,
Excellent.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let's dive into it then. According to your website, you underwent a dramatically life-changing STE,
hmm
spiritually transformative experience in
Yeah.
your 20s. So could you
Yes.
elaborate, please? What is the story? And then we'll bounce off from there.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I was on a healing journey that I really got serious about in my early 20s. I had a trauma when I was 13. And like many of us, my life kept going. So and it was okay, but sometimes it was not okay and I ended up going to therapy and told I was fine by the therapists. And around age 23, I just was like, I don't feel fine. I'm not sure what to do with my life because in our 20s we decide what we're going to do. And I was like, I think I'm gonna just heal all the way. I wanted to heal all the way, and I just remember saying that to myself. That I really wanted to feel my heart, and I didn't know what that meant. But I just started going on this journey, and I started learning healing. I started doing a bunch of like mind body practices, yoga, because this was already like therapists, you're fine. So, and I was like, okay, I'm not. Let me find more. And at this time, between age 23 and 25, as I was doing all this healing. I started to write my journal, Dear God, which is how my spiritual awakening started. And now I know other people who've had, similar experiences. I felt at the time very, really, I thought I was losing my mind. But so yes, keep going. You want to keep
No, no,
going?
I was going to say that's a phrase I hear a lot. And in fact, I
Yeah.
heard it yesterday while speaking to somebody else. I thought I was going mental, insane, blah, 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 blah. It's a common thing.
Yeah, but I wasn't. And I had people supporting me, telling me I wasn't, but I still was so convinced that I was losing my mind. Like my stepdad was very supportive of this experience and really helped me get a different perspective, but I still was so sure I was losing my mind. I was eventually just ignored ignored it for my I ignored my own spiritual experience for over a decade. But let me tell you the rest of the story. So
Yeah, go for it.
I moved to graduate school in New York. I had left New Orleans, moved to New York. I was at Columbia University Teachers College, and I was, a great student doing all my student stuff, but still writing my journal, Dear God. And one night in January 2006, I got like really overcome by this feeling, and I just wrote out of the blue that I wanted to devote my life to God, which was nothing I really would ever consider doing. Like, I don't know, it's not, but I just wrote, Dear God, I have decided to give my life to you and whatever that entails. I want to be guided by you, by the light. This is my pledge. I will work hard to follow this path and bring it to fruition. Please help me do this. Please help me bring light to other people. Thank you. Amen. And I was just crying and I closed my journal. Like I finished my entry about my boyfriend and graduate school. Like it wasn't really. And then I just went to sleep. And like from that night for the next 2 years, my spiritual experience happened.
Awesome. Now, clearly a question about that passage you wrote about, needing help, need this, and you want to go in this direction. Was that you? Or was that something else speaking through you or
I
consciously
don't
guiding
know.
you to do it?
Well, I was actually talking about this morning in a session because, like, what
Oh,
is
good.
you? Like, definitely my personality would not have ever thought about writing something like this, but I think my soul or whatever is connected to all that is was probably pushing me in this direction because I feel like it felt like I got taken over, but was I taken over or was it just my soul writing? Because, it's very often that we kind of close our souls off. We're like, I'm a mom or I have a job and we're not like connecting. And in this moment, I connected. So.
Yeah, I wondered if it was some measure of like automatic writing.
It might have been. It might have been because it really was like this big promise, and before and after in the journal entry, which I still have the journal over there. Um, it was like regular entry. It's like my life, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. So kind of might have
Excellent.
been.
I wondered if you get that page taken out and like framed or anything and put on your wall. Does it
Do you
mean?
think I should?
Well, I don't know. It was in my head to say that, so I wondered if
Maybe
that
I
was something
should.
you consider.
Maybe I should, because the rest of the journal's a little embarrassing, but that page is a good one. So maybe I should just throw the rest out.
Yeah, into the burning bin outside, and we'll just have that one framed on the wall. Amazing. So you,
Yeah.
you, you said this prayer, this request, so to speak. Then what happened from there?
So that night as I was going to sleep, I saw a light come over my bed and I was not asleep because I remember seeing it very clearly. It was like a beautiful light that came from one end of the room to right over me in the bed. And it was like immediately I could tell it was singing to my soul. I was terrified of it to look at me because I knew I was still hiding things like in a different way. I'd done a lot of healing up to this point, but I was like, whoa, this light's seeing into my heart and I'm really scared. And I tensed up and I said, go away, I'm afraid, go away, I'm afraid. And as I said that, I started to feel like a headache, but it didn't hurt. It felt like love and peace. And it just started at the top of my head and it started getting stronger and stronger. And I was like, this is a really weird headache. I looked at my boyfriend who was asleep and I thought, should I wake him up? But then it just got so strong and I relaxed into the feeling and I felt a voice come into my head that said, you don't have to be afraid, but if you are, you can wear a hat. And it put a graduation cap into my mind's eye. And at the time, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening. And I just said right back, like, that's not a cute hat. Here's three other hats you could choose. And then the voice stopped because it was a spiritual message I didn't realize. So yeah,
Okay,
the
so
cap was, yeah.
yeah, what did that signify then?
Well, I thought about it a long time since, and I think now I've kind of decided that I was able to wear like I didn't need to be afraid because I was going to wear the hat of a graduate student, and my whole experience was during my graduate program. So I would have different spiritual things happen, but I was able to, manage them while I went through graduate school, and I think that might have been part of what was helping me manage it, not be afraid.
And
So.
have you pondered that it could also mean that you're now into a new form of education with the awakening you've gone
Mm.
into, and then you're graduating from that?
Good point. No, I didn't think about that. No, I love that. I had someone suggest that it was like I was leveling up, but I hadn't thought about it. I was learning something new, and I did learn so much new stuff
Mm.
that I'd never thought about before. So,
So what was this like then? How, I mean, what are you talking, like basketball size, smaller or bigger? What was it?
yeah, but basketball's maybe a little bigger, and it looked like it was wavy-ish, and it came from and it was white. And it was definitely not like a light you turn on. I could tell right away it wasn't like a lamp. It was like a light. And I think if I would have had better spiritual sight, I would have been able to see more. But I didn't really know. I don't know, didn't know how to see spiritually at the time. I still work on that. But I think what I saw was like a wavy white light, but would I have seen an angel or something if I had knew how
Yeah,
to
that's
see
a good
better,
point, isn't it? Because that's
Yeah.
what people think these things could be. The orbs are,
Yeah.
a
Something more.
spirit, and then you see them different based on the lens of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
interesting. Now,
Yeah. So.
was that like bouncing off the environment, or was it just localized to your vision, so to speak?
It was just localized to my vision. It looked like it just came from one end of the room to right over me. And I was like, my bed was on one end and the light started at the other end and just came above me.
What I
So,
mean by that, though, is did it
mm.
like illuminate your boyfriend's face, as an example?
No, it didn't. It just was like a light in the middle. I remember the dark room and the light. So it
It's
wasn't
weird,
like
isn't
it
it?
lit up the whole room. And maybe it would have if I would have been more tuned in. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's possible. I've been speaking to a few paranormal, what they call paranormal mechanic people who study
Hmm.
the mechanics of the paranormal, and they think
Yeah.
that the light isn't in our reality. It's just you can see it, or it's merged in, so to speak. So
Yeah.
that's why it won't reflect off surfaces and things
Oh,
potentially,
interesting. Oh,
because
very
it's not
cool.
quite in the reality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's beyond our reality. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I just love thinking about this sort of thing and how are paranormal things interacting with the environment to then work out, are they in the environment? I love that.
I know. And sometimes I think when I look back on it, I'm like, I think that light was kind of confused. Like, I don't think this was my soul path necessarily. Or to me, maybe I'm projecting, but I think they were like, why did this girl write that? And they're like, what can we do with this girl with this big promise that she's made? Like, so I don't know.
I thought you were going to say, "Oh, we meant to go to number 11, and we've just gone to number 9 by accident." That's awful.
Yeah, something like that because it was definitely not part of my, but who knows? They say there's no accidents. So,
No, of course, yeah, and I'm with you on that. I believe that. I think everything happens for a reason. So you have this experience that night. You have your headachy sort of stuff in it. Where from there?
and then I just go to sleep. And I'm like, wake up the next morning, I have to go to class. And I just think that's kind of a weird, whatever just happened that night was weird. I don't really know. Um, And I start going to class and I see light pouring out of everyone I pass. And it was like, even thinking about it now makes me want to cry because I don't necessarily see it the way I saw it those first few days, but I just saw beautiful, heavenly, like white light just around everyone. Like, but it wasn't just light. It was like, oh my gosh, I could see the beauty of everyone. I was just amazed at how beautiful people were. I was in love with everyone I saw. And it was just like, it was astounding, really. It was incredible.
And
And then I just
how
like,
long did that last
yeah.
for?
Just a couple days. I mean, now I can still tune into it, but it's mostly through people's eyes. And I don't know why I got to see it, but I just remember being like, whoa. Like I remember walking like, whoa, whoa, like that to everyone. I mean, I don't think I actually did that, but because I mean, it was like my soul was awakening and it was so beautiful.
That's amazing. Literally, you're echoing exactly what I heard yesterday from someone.
No
Have you
way, I
ever
need to
spoken
meet this
to
person.
Lelania? I can never say her name right. Lelania
No.
Fulton or Filton. Yeah, I had her on yesterday, and she had almost the same thing as you. She had an awakening, then went outside and felt like she merged with people. She'd seen the light, but she felt as if her energy is expanded and merged with them, so she could feel the love, like you mentioned, as well as
Oh.
seeing the light. It's
It's
amazing.
beautiful. It's
It's
so
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, and I was eventually like I also so the first couple weeks I saw the light. I saw light coming out of everyone and I started having psychic dreams that week too, which was nothing I'd ever heard of, thought about, like I don't know, my mom was a psychologist and we'd always kind of Freudian style analyzed our dreams. I know Jungian analysis is also cool, but we were my mom, I don't know, we were more Freudian. So it was really weird to start having dreams that came true. And that has persisted in my life ever since. Um, yeah. And
Wow.
that's been, yeah,
Was it big events or like were you talking like just trivial minor things or
a lot of minor things. So, some consistent dreams I've had have been like about my friends and they'll come to me in a dream and then it'll turn out that's true in real life. And I now believe we're all just meeting in the astral plane, but that's how, where you can see things that haven't happened yet, or you can just kind of see what's going on with them. And my friends have seen what's going on with me. And I think it's really interesting. But I did have dreams about events like I had a dream about a car accident before it happened. I had a dream about, getting carbon monoxide poisoning before it happened. And it's not, I don't always have dreams about events, but those two really stick out.
I
Yeah.
can imagine, especially the carbon monoxide one. That must have been
I
horrific.
know. It was, and I didn't even know I was gonna. It was like you have these dreams and then you don't know how it's gonna happen. I didn't even know it was carbon monoxide poisoning. I just was looking at my lungs in the mirror in my dream, and I
Oh,
could see
whoa.
through my lungs and see that they were bright red. And then I had to move out of my house. But none of these dreams have any fear. There's no way that it's not like, hey, if you do this other thing, you won't have this happen. It's like this is gonna happen no matter what. And in the dream world, it's not scary.
And there's no time frame, presumably, so
There's
it's like
no
you
time
can't prepare
frame.
yourself for it in a way.
No, and like a lot of them were about a week, 5 days a week. But yeah, no, there was no way to get out of it or around it. Everything leading up to it seemed like total accident. I survived. I'm okay, but it was pretty interesting to think, oh yeah, I did dream about that before it happened.
What
So,
happened? Did you have got one of those like carbon monoxide alarms that go off?
well, this is after my experience ended. So I lived in a cabin in the woods after my experience ended because I was so confused. I was trying to figure everything out. I wanted to escape the world. But my mom and stepdad did live in the same town. It wasn't like I was just, and I still had a job, but I did must have spent most of my time in this cabin. But it was like a kind of cold night in the spring, and I just turned my heater on, and they just replaced my heater, but they
Oh,
used
I
the
got you.
wrong type of heater for the gas that was hooked up. And basically, I was awakened in the middle of, like, I was awakened with a push. I think my alarm went off, and when it did, I felt like something pushed me out of the bed. and I ran and I just started running because I've never woken up running. And I ran from my bedroom through the living room, turned off the heater for no reason in my conscious mind, and made it to the bathroom where my dream had been. And I started falling. And that, my dream, I was looking in the mirror and like I was standing at that sink, and then I just fell, like collapsed because I had no oxygen in
Uh,
my body. Yeah, and I kept trying to stand up and I couldn't. And then I had to lay on the ground for like, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes till I could crawl out and go to the hospital. And they told me I was less than a minute from death. So that's like,
whoa.
yeah, this was all like post like spiritual experience. And I just, my, all my friends knew I had carbon monoxide poisoning and I survived. But like, there was definitely some divine intervention for me to live through that.
Well, it must
So
have been, especially with the push.
I
I love
know.
those things as well, where people will feel the force of whatever it is, saying,
Yeah.
come on, get on with it.
Like push and running. But I've heard if it's not your time to go, like there's usually miraculous things that will keep you here. And it just wasn't my time.
Yeah,
But I,
well, I'm pleased
so
for you. In
yeah.
that moment, right, when you're looking in the mirror and you're looking at yourself, do you think, just before you pass out, are you thinking, this is it?
I didn't think that. And you're smart. It was more like maybe I think my soul knew, but then I didn't really put it together. In fact, I never started until I started sharing my spiritual story. I never really talked about that. Like,
Mm.
never I don't know. So, but it does all go, it's a little bit of a support. It's like you're gonna, when you go through something hard, you kind of feel like, okay, this wasn't just a big mistake. I was supposed to go through this for whatever reason.
Yeah. Have you looked back on it and worked out what that reason is yet?
I guess so I could talk about it. I mean, I feel like half the stuff that happened to me, it's just so I can tell people about it since hopefully we're all having spiritual awakenings. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But then you wonder if there's a plan behind you having carbon. It didn't have to be carbon monoxide poisoning, by the
That's
way.
true.
Or did it have to be? Because when you now talk about it, somebody somewhere on a podcast will listen to that and think, oh, I better get one of those carbon monoxide thing. And that's the thing that saves
That's
them and
true.
they've got a really important job for the future. Maybe it's
I
that.
never thought about that, but that's a really good point. I love that. That's probably true. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many ways we all affect each other that we don't even know.
Yeah, you could be the
So
catalyst for saving shitloads of lives. Excuse my French, without you even knowing it. And I think that's what's happening a lot of times.
that's so cool. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're probably right. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. So the dream, yeah, so those dreams were really, they've consisted. They've happened ever since. But it's interesting when I lived in the cabin and I was a
Hmm.
little more removed from the world, I had a lot more psychic dreams or precognitive or whatever you want to call them. It was almost like I had a lot more because I was doing less in the real world. But the more I do in the real world, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It was interesting that living in the woods made me have more.
Well, probably connected more to nature, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
more
wrong, but
connected to nature,
yeah,
more calm, more space to dream.
that's
I
it.
still
Yeah.
have them though. I'll still have them if it's really important, but it's like, but then it was like every night I would have one and it would be something the next day that was really boring. I would be like, this is boring. Like why am I having these dreams?
This is me doing my work twice, the housework twice, in
Yeah,
dreaming and in
right.
real life.
Anyway,
Quality. Then where did it progress from there?
so that was the first couple weeks, and then I was like definitely losing my mind. I was like, this is too much. I don't know what's happening. I'm still going to grad school. I just remember calling my boyfriend at the time at the apartment and asking him if he could see all these things in the apartment. Because this was 2006. Like this was before all these podcasts and like yours and people
Hmm.
sharing. It just felt like it was less popular to talk about this stuff. But I remember being like, "Hey, can you see this thing in the window?" Like I called him from school, and he's just at the apartment. Like, why are you asking me about all these things? You can, if I can see them. But everything I was asking him about, he could see. It was really just I was seeing some spiritual things, and now I understand that better than I used to. But so from there, the whole time I felt like angels standing around me. I think we always have them around us. I just think I opened the door and could feel them. So they just felt like loving light beings around me. And like certain points of my 2 year experience, I could feel them step forward to give me really clear guidance. And then I could feel them kind of step back. So I have one time when I really remember feeling them, and it was again something kind of mundane. I was going to sign up to study abroad, and I picked up the pen and I felt two really tall angels on either shoulder and then tall. And I'm sure you've heard in other people's experiences, a lot of them feel these light beings as really tall. Have you heard that
Oh
before?
yes, yeah.
because I hadn't heard that. We didn't know anything that was happening to me, but I was like, oh, wow, they felt like really tall. And I just heard, was it given that I shouldn't do that? I shouldn't sign up to study abroad. And then that was it. I didn't. But, it goes to show like we all have, our lives are really sacred and guided, even if it doesn't seem like we're doing anything really special. Like all of your small decisions also matter, you know?
Mm.
Um, I saw an alternate timeline of my life, and that's something I never heard about before. So I was opening up my computer to write at a coffee shop, and I saw my whole life, and I lived my whole life as if I made this decision. Like I was gonna, now I know I'm supposed to write and share about my spiritual experience, but then I didn't know that. I didn't even know what all of this was for. But I opened my computer to write about something totally different, and I lived my whole life. It was like I saw and lived the book getting published to bad reviews. I saw and lived like feeling depressed and dejected. I remember even being in the house that I lived in and like reading the bad review and just like it was like I lived my whole life. And then I thought, whoa, okay, I'm not going to do that. And it felt like very supportive. It didn't, some people are like, was that scary? It's like, no, it wasn't scary. It just felt like when you get soul wisdom and soul knowledge, it's like so undeniable and like you can't ignore it. So I just closed my computer and was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Um,
I'm
yeah.
interested in that one. I have to ask you this question, right?
Yeah.
Did you see the whole timeline of yourself, the age at that point when you had that experience, through to, let's just say, a death event? Did you have
I
that?
didn't see my death, but I saw myself in like middle age and like never
Whoa.
being happy. I saw the book coming out and then I saw myself. I don't know if I saw myself die, but it was like, it was more than like doing a past life regression or more than a visualization. It was like I lived it. And I think because I was just vibrating so high during these couple of years, everything was just so turned up.
Hmm. You're obviously tapping into what, the whole version of
Just
things and then multiverse versions of things. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think that honestly, now that it's over, because I had that door open really big and then I'll tell you how it ended. But it
Hmm.
was like, now I just have heart's nudges. Like most all of us have that. We have guidance in our heart. We kind of know which way to go. And now I think when we have that guidance, it's like our soul is seeing and feeling the timelines and the angels. But regular human life, we don't see and feel that all the time. In fact, I think it would make us kind of feel really unstable to have that all the time. But so it's just like your heart's nudge is your heart actually seeing the timeline, but we just don't see that like consciously all the time.
Oh, I see what you mean. You're
That's what I
feeling
kind of
what
think
is coming, or yeah, yeah, I get it.
could come. So follow your heart's like guidance. That's kind of the lesson.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that.
yeah. Okay. Okay. I overcame these nightmares and a couple other things that happened. So I had these horrible nightmares after my trauma, and they were basically shadow sleep paralysis nightmares. And during my spiritual experience, I realized I could make them go away. And I just told them, like, I was awakened in the middle of the night during this 2 year period, and this shadowy thing was circling me. And I just felt so calm. Normally, I don't know if you've ever had nightmares like this, but you have.
I've had one sleep paralysis event and it is
Scary.
bloody scary. Yes.
Yeah, and you don't know what's happening. Like, I know there's so many perspectives on this in the spiritual world versus the scientific, psychological world, but I had just been terrified of these since I was 13. I'd had these nightmares and I would just like tense up. And anyway, finally I was awakened and I was like, oh, like, I'm not afraid. Like, I just realized I didn't have to be afraid. There was nothing to be afraid of. And I just I said to that shadowy thing, like, you can't hurt me. God lives in me and works through me. And I just relaxed so much. And it just went away. And it really was about not being afraid and knowing that I was connected to something greater than myself, that I didn't have to be afraid of it. But a lot of people, like, I get embarrassed to talk about that because it sounds to me like from a psychological perspective, it sounds a certain kind of way, but a lot of people deal with this. So
Well, I'm highly interested in that where you sort of like say to it, go away, and then it
yeah,
just goes away. How did
yeah.
it just go away for you?
I think it's less about what I said and more about me feeling like I totally was connected to creator, source, like divine light, whatever. I just felt so calm. It was like, oh, yeah, I know that I'm stronger than you and I'm not afraid. Or I'm not, I just felt like couldn't bother me anymore. So it really was more just about the feeling of faith and trust and something bigger. And I don't know. And then it just disappeared. And I literally haven't had another one since. And that's been since I was 26. That's like 20 years. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've had one thing similar to that. It wasn't in relation to the sleep paralysis, but I did have one horrible dream one night where some sort of dark, horrible thing was locking me in the boot of a car, and it was going like weird
Oh,
clicking sort of sound, right? Which is, I know it was just pure dread in me, and I'm not really that scared a person, but it was pure dread. And this isn't me either. I just went, in the name of Jesus Christ, leave, and it went.
wow.
And that's not me. I'm not a religious person in my day to day life, but it's obviously in there, isn't it? And that just went as well. So there's something in
Wow.
it.
There is with the connecting to God or Jesus and like just making them go. Yes, that's
Yeah.
powerful. That's scary you had that dream, and I'm glad you said that because that does really work
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
see. I don't know
Wow.
whether it's the words or the intention. And I've spoken to a number of people,
Um,
and some say it's the intention, and some say it's the power in the words. And I'm not quite sure where to put my chips, you know?
Maybe it's both. Because when you said in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave, that's so powerful that you said that. And you're not even religious, but
Yeah.
did you just, because when you say words like that too, it opens up your heart and your faith, and then you probably weren't afraid.
I remember being afraid, and as soon as I said it, it went, and then I presume I wasn't.
That's awesome.
I can't really remember. I've also got a really crap memory, which is bad for me, but I know it happened, and it's
Wow.
like, whoa. And I'm also a highly logical person, so
Yeah.
I have to bat against that as well.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
there's
weird.
so much out there about this stuff, and people are convinced there's a whole. Anyway, I think when you trust, you have faith, and you're not afraid, you're safe, and
Yeah.
you can kind of feel better. And I mean, I do think there might be beings that feed off of our fear, and it's just worthwhile to stay in a place of love.
Yeah,
Who
get rid of
knows?
them swines. We don't want them around us. So, uh, where did it go from there, or is that the end of the 2 year
That is,
chapter?
I had a few other things. So, in addition to getting over those nightmares, I had a spontaneous life review where I felt all my sister's feelings when we were talking on the phone about something that she wasn't telling. We kind of had a small conversation about something. She didn't tell me how upset she was about it because I dropped the ball on something that was important to her. And I felt like her feelings in my body, and it like took my breath away. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I could hurt someone like that. And I never want to do that again. And I was just realizing that we're connected and we affect each other and our emotions and how, I don't know, it felt like I could feel her feelings and how she felt. In a different way than just seeing that someone is sad. It was like I felt it. So anyway, I that was kind of like a little life review. Other things that happened was like I saw an aura around a tree right before it died. I would feel eclipses in my body. Like all of this, I felt like I just got like super
Super
open to all
sensitive,
this stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and even there's a picture I found recently of me during this 2 year period where there's an orb around me, which I found just a couple years ago, and I was so excited because I was like, okay, I didn't make it all up. Like I don't know, so it was neat.
I need to ask you a
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
They say that, or the magical they say that when people are spiritually awakened, you're
yeah.
then more open to other things seeing you and therefore being attracted to you. So, was there any other, we'll call it negative, things that might have appeared in your life, or even things like alien abduction or aliens or anything like that? Have you seen anything?
Yeah. I think here's my theory on that. I had a
Hmm.
bad trauma when I was 13. I think I got out of my body enough that I was spiritually tuned in, and I was tuned into the bad side, like the nightmares that I had from 13 to 26. And then when I gave my life to God by accident or spontaneously, I got to tune into the good side of things and like heal a whole bunch. And I have seen little angels. I do messages where I hear, because I hear a lot of messages and stuff. I did have a couple. I think I had a download at the end of my experience that could have been potentially galactic, but I can tell you that too. I was like, after my experience ended, I was in between the worlds, and it could all be the same thing. But I just remember being
Mm.
awakened in the middle of the night, and I could feel how it was like I had a feeling pressing down on me of the sacredness of all of human life. I was shown the entire planet, how sacred we all are, how beautiful each life is, us going to our jobs and doing different things. And it was like this real vision of the whole planet. And then I saw us going off of a cliff. And then I said, love is all there is. And this was in 2008, like right after my experience ended. anyway, I don't know if that was like, I've heard other people that have had contact where they are kind of down. Like, I don't know if you know Chris Bledsoe.
I
He
do,
talks
yeah.
about when he meets, the lady or whatever, he is shown the sacredness of all of life. And I was like, it's like you could see the whole planet. That's what mine was like. So I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
I
I was
did
just
have a
talking.
weird experience on the subway. Oh, yeah, what were we gonna say?
I was just going to say I was talking to my brother on the phone earlier, and we had this conversation about NDE, near
Mhm.
death experiences, and we were saying they're all common, but just how they present is slightly different. So that's
Mhm.
exactly what you said there versus Chris Bledsoe. So you've seen the Earth and then going over a cliff. Other people see like a nuclear explosion or whatever, but it's the same
Yes.
thing, isn't it? Same story.
Same thing. Yeah. So it's so interesting how it shows up. And it's like a little bit different for each of our languages, or what we're
Yes,
used to seeing.
it's tuned
Um,
to you, I think.
yeah. So mine was like interesting because it was what ended my experience was I had all these different things happen. And then my experience ended with this beautiful dream of an angel. And tuned to me, at this time I was 28, 27, 28. I was single. And I thought this was a dream about my future boyfriend because that's what I was doing. I was in New York and I was like, ah. Um, I had this dream where I'm talking in my room to this beautiful glowing person and I was saying things like life is hard, I don't know why I'm here, and he's just glowing with all this light. In this dream my whole room is filled with light and it is like one of my precognitive or prophetic psychic dreams because it's so bright and so real. And he's like, life is amazing. Rebecca, you need to go have a good life. You need to go have adventures, go live a good life. Being alive is a gift. And he's just like saying all this stuff, so excited. And I'm feeling all this love come into my heart, like just so much love. And it's opening. And like, as I feel all this love, my heart opens completely. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I say, what's your name? When am I going to meet you? Because again, I was 28, and that's what made sense to me was like this was a guy that was going to come meet me in the future.
And you were like, please, please.
Yeah, you seem like the best because you're glowing. And like, anyway, he said, my name is Jonathan. You'll meet me when you finish swimming. And the dream shifts from me talking to him in my room to me being on a ship at night in the ocean and just lowered from this big ship down into the ocean alone. And I just started swimming out, and there's like no end to this ocean that I'm swimming in. And when I woke up the next morning, all the light was gone. So it was just like that was the end. That was the message. Go have a great life. Life is amazing. So
And you decipher that dream and those visuals as what exactly? Like you swimming into the greater scheme of things.
well, then I was like, I guess I'm just learning how to swim to be now I know it's like I had to learn how to be a spiritual person in the world. Like during this 2 year period, everything was done for me. I just felt like all these angels were around me, helping me get me balanced and realigned. But after it was like I had to learn how to do my own spiritual work and how to connect on my own. But at the time, I just didn't know exactly what it meant. And literally the next day, like, okay, I was like, okay, everything feels like it's gone. And then I woke up, and then the next morning, I was like, I think I'm probably done swimming and I'm going to meet this cool guy. Nothing would happen. And like the next day, I would be like, I'm probably done swimming and I'm going to meet this guy. No. And then the
You
next
booked so
week,
many swimming lessons, yeah.
I kept being like, I think I'm done swimming. Like, I just didn't know. Now I know it's like the rest of my life and he's an angel. But I literally didn't realize he was not a real person until a couple years ago, which is embarrassing.
No, that's fine. You never know. He still might be out there waiting for you on that ocean liner or whatever it is. You never
Yeah.
know. Um, Now to hit the logical side of me, I have to ask you these questions.
Yes.
Um, you can ignore this question if you want, because if I don't know what your trauma was, but are you okay talking about it? What were you healing
Yeah.
from?
I was sexually assaulted. I don't know how much
Okay.
you want me to talk about it, but I woke
Well,
up when I was
yeah.
13 on the laundry room floor. I was at my friend's house and there was all these people staring in the doorway and there were four boys over me assaulting me.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a bad one. It was
Mm.
really tough. I mean, I can talk about it now because I've done a ton of work around it, but it was like it was a terrible trauma to go through. And I thought it was my fault. They were really mean to me, so
That's
yeah.
horrible. I hate to hear of things like that. And I'm glad that you can now talk about it because, like you said, you've done the work to resolve, presumably, the majority of whatever that is. Looking back on it, this is going to sound like a horrible question. Was that experience needed for you?
Yeah, I do think so. And I can say it now, but like I would never tell someone that. Somebody said that to me in a group, and I was like, no, I get to say that for myself. Like, but if my soul chose it, it was almost like I had no like. there was no way around it. Like, especially because I just woke up on the floor and didn't know how I ended up there. Like there was no way to get her out of it. And I went to my friend's house. I just felt like, I was so young, but I do think my soul put that there for me to heal from. And I could have not healed all the way. I could have done other things. We all have traumas, but I do think we get a choice. We have a choice of what we want to do with them. And if we really decide to heal, I do think we can all have like beautiful awakenings and like beautiful connections with God and like true healing. And so, yeah, I do think it was part of my path. And I think I kind of hopefully have done the best I could with it in terms
Yeah,
of
well,
healing.
it seems like you have. You come across very well, and you come across very
Thanks.
bubbly and happy, and I love to see
Yeah.
that. And so that is
Thanks.
a sign that you've passed the test, so to speak. If it is looked at as a test, maybe it is.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I
I
don't know.
still, and it is, yeah, it's good. And I'm glad I'm talking about it now because so many women and men have sexual assault that they feel totally broken from and they don't get a chance to heal from, especially with what's happening with the Epstein files and all of that.
Hmm.
I'm glad I can be out here and be like, hey, like there is a really happy life available. You do not have to be broken forever. So,
100% correct, and I'm completely with you on that one. With the angels,
yeah,
who or what are the angels? And a subsequent question: how do
yeah.
you know they are angels?
Okay, that's a good question because they never said we are angels. I just felt loving light beings. And I used the word angels because that's my background. I have a Judeo-Christian background from my mom and my dad. Um, it I do think it just boils down to the frequency of love, and that's how I know. And anyway, so I would call them angels, but I think if I tuned in, they're beings of light. If I was going to say another word for them, and they
Sure.
just feel totally loving. Is that you said? What was the first question? What do they feel like?
No, who or what are they?
What are they?
Yeah.
I mean, I have people like, we've talked about UFOs. Like some people will be like, oh, that whole thing was not angels. Those were like aliens from other planets. But I don't really know. I think there's like, I'm kind of into the frequency description of all this. Like it was just a very high light frequency of love. And that's what they felt like. But I do think when I made this promise to God, like I suddenly felt very cared for and very carried. And I think that they were like helping me get through all of it. And that's what I do now is I tune back in and I really feel them stand next to me when I do messages and when I do sessions with people. And it's
I,
very
I,
beautiful.
I do love it. I always think to myself, what do these beings, if they are beings, what do they call themselves? What do they refer to themselves as?
I mean, and you're gonna make me start tuning in. I mean, some people tell me they've been connected to the seraphim. Um, I think light beings is enough, I think, but I think they're beyond language and words, honestly.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Many, yeah, but it's
I
a good
just love
question.
that. Yeah, I love to
Yeah.
know. It's like I've spoken to people about aliens and stuff, and we call like aliens the Greys. That's an example. What do they
Right.
call themselves? And you never get that answer. And
Yeah,
I like that because we always think through the lens of humanity, but they wouldn't think through the lens of humanity.
right. But it's almost like they're definitely one with God and they are here to help bring love about. That's what I feel. But yeah, I know what they call themselves. I think angel is definitely a human term, but who knows?
Hmm.
I'm not an expert. I just felt all this stuff. They never said angel. I just felt them feel very loving and supportive and like full of light. So,
No, that's fair enough. The next one,
yeah.
your messages you get.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you looked earlier to the right and up a bit, right? Can I ask
Yeah.
you a question? Is that where you get the messages,
Yeah.
or is it this side?
I feel like we all have different systems. And when I tune back in, and granted, I know like from my background, I sound like I'm just absolutely bonkers. I know that, but I feel it and I've experienced all this. So I basically, when I do my messages, I sit back in the light. I just bring light through my whole body and then I invite in the angels and guides. And like they stand over my right shoulder because that's what I'm comfortable with. If I'm doing a session for someone, their angels will stand over my right shoulder and mine will stand over my left. But and so yeah.
Well, that's what this is what I was getting at. Because a lot of people I speak to again, I know I'm referencing old things all the
I
time,
want to hear her. That's
and
cool.
even my
Yeah.
nan when she was a medium while she was alive, it's always the left side for
The
some
left side.
reason. Yeah, the left side. So you've got two, which is interesting. You're getting yours from here and then something else from elsewhere. I love
That's
that.
interesting. They do the left side. Maybe I should switch it up a little bit. But I've gotten so used to hearing them on the right side. And your nan was a medium. That's cool. Is that why you're
Yeah.
interested in all this?
My brother is as well.
Oh,
I've just
neat.
always been highly interested in the paranormal, literally from the age of like 5, 6 or whatever. And maybe it is
Cool.
relation to some measure of genetics in me that
Yeah,
opens you up to want to know more about it. Somebody else,
that's cool.
again, I spoke to the other day, described themselves as a seeker. And I
Oh,
liked that phrase. So that's what I'm now going to term myself as, even though I shouldn't really term myself because I'm not a word. But you know
yeah,
what I mean. Yeah. I'm
yeah.
after knowledge. That's why I'm doing this exercise. I want to speak to people who've had the experiences so I can understand them and
Hmm.
what's truly around us.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's so much around us, and I think, yeah, I think it's beautiful, and I love that. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Was any in your family, did you say?
Well, my stepdad came from a medicine tradition, so he was an indigenous man. My mom remarried in my 20s. And he like, I don't know, he had a lot of dreams about my spiritual experience while it was happening, and I
Nice.
wasn't telling him about it. So that was very validating for me. And he wrote me a whole bunch of stuff about how to walk with the medicine from his tradition, which would be like being, connected with God, the Great Spirit, walking what he called the red road. Very helpful. But I still was like, I think I'm just crazy. Thank you for all of that information, but I love you, but I don't get it. And that was kind of hard that I didn't understand it until really recently. So that was a step parent, but then also on my mom's side, she came from many years of ministers, and so they have like a lot of spiritual experiences on my mom's side. Like many of my uncles and aunts like have kind of these spiritual kind of experiences. But they were raised like I was raised more rationally. I don't know. So it's interesting. I think there is some kind of, they say the God gene or whatever, like these spiritual. I think some of us are a little more built like that. Like other families are really good at cooking and everyone in the family's a chef, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, no, you're right on that one. Yeah, maybe it's just in the family, and then you're more
Yeah.
open or susceptible. If
Yeah,
susceptible
maybe.
is the right word, more
Yeah,
open is the
yeah.
best one. Um, was it the pen and paper, your journal, or was it your intention?
I think it was both. I think it's funny because I remember calling my one of my guides, like she was a healer of mine in New Orleans who had been helping me a few years before I started my spiritual experience. And I remember calling her because she seemed really wise about all this. And I was like, something really weird is going on. I'm seeing lights. I don't know what's happening. And she's like, what did you do? And she goes through all of these things, like, were you sick? Like, what was wrong? Da, da, da. And I was like, oh, well, I was writing in my journal and I did devote my life to God while I was writing in my journal. And she just started laughing because she's like, oh, you took a written vow to God?
Yeah,
Like,
good
it
point.
wasn't just like I promised it. It was like the written vow to her. That was a big deal. And I think it was both. I mean, I do think like we sign contracts in this world, and I think I just signed a contract with divine light or God that I didn't really mean to do, and I do think it was the intention as well. Maybe it was both. I don't know.
Your journal then, post that initial door open, did
Yeah.
you write anything else in there that then also had an answer?
Nope. Now I do. Then it was like I was trying to make sense of stuff and just writing stuff that would happen. I would write down some dreams I had or dreams my stepdad had, but I now I do write to get answers to questions. Or I'll
Awesome.
pray to get answers to questions. But it's like a journal. It's basically like an automatic writing where I just will ask questions and get answers about but basic personal life stuff,
No, that's fair.
jobs
But
and
so
relationships.
the answer comes back via the writing, you say?
Hmm. Or it'll come in a dream, but if I'm writing, I'll get the answer in writing. We can all do that. You should do it.
Oh, I don't know. It's weird. I'm going to mention my brother again. That's two in one podcast, and I shouldn't do that. But he also does automatic writing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know. Highly, highly interesting. But I don't know whether
Yeah.
I have the power to do any of that sort of stuff.
I really do think we all do. And again, like some of us are just, but also I think there's different mediums or there's different avenues that work more easily for us. Like writing works for me. And it really is because it helps me focus a little bit, but you just relax enough and then you feel the answers come in. And I think it's a skill you can develop like anything. Like, but I don't do OBEs or astral travel because it's kind of hard for me to figure that out. But other people, it's just easy for them. So, there's all kinds of,
That is true. Yeah, it's
yeah.
what you're tailored to
Yeah.
best receive or be suited to. That you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Have you looked into the writing request and then the answer back? I mean, how many other people do that?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, that's how I wrote my book that I published last year. That was, Daily Moments with the Angels. It's just when I wasn't sure if I was making up my experience, I would still write and get answers. And then eventually it was like getting answers or getting messages to share that I share now. I think a lot of people do it, right? Don't a lot of people do this?
I genuinely don't know. I mean, I only know of my brother, and I've heard of other stories in history of automatic writing. I just didn't know if it was a big thing or if most people get messages, I don't know, audibly or just knowing, the knowing.
Yeah, I think we all have different avenues, but of course, I'm in a world where I'm like, everyone's doing this, everyone's getting messages, everyone's seeing spirit, and like, I
I
don't know.
don't genuinely don't think they are. Most people are locked in their 9 to 5 day job or
Yeah.
bogged down with the logistics of life that they're not
Hmm.
open
Yeah.
or they're
I
too busy on
know.
their phone to notice. You know what I mean?
I know. And this happened before smartphones. And I'm always like, if we would have had smartphones, would I have had this big spiritual
Yeah.
experience?
You
I don't
can't do
know.
another what if you've already had one of them, can
Yeah.
you?
But a lot of people are having them and phones are around. And I think the energy is just a little stronger now, maybe. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I know, again, I hear from a lot of people that we're in a great time at the moment, the Great Awakening. Let's just call it that. It might not be that, where more people are being switched on. Let's call it switched on. Do
Yeah.
you think that?
Yeah. Well, in my work, because of what I do with people, I have sessions with people and I'm out here on the internet. I'm doing these interviews. I know to some people I sound really out there, at least in my background, but then people see me and they book with me and they're like, I've had a spiritual awakening. I am seeing things. I've had seen angels and they're kind of freaking out because they're regular professionals. So in my own work, I feel like yes. And I do think it is happening. I've had weird energy downloads the last few months. I don't know. There's just a lot happening. And I think we're just gonna be more spiritual. It's not a big deal. It's only a big deal if we haven't learned about it or we think we're going crazy or something, which I thought so.
Yeah. Well, you're not. But what do you think it's leading to then?
I think it's leading to us being like our actual full selves, which are spiritual selves. So like telepathy, having all your spiritual abilities. Like, when I was feeling eclipses and seeing all these timelines, I think maybe we're gonna have a little more access to that. And I hopefully like peace. I mean, all this started because of me wanting to live by the light, help other people live by the light. So you can have spiritual abilities and you're not like loving. I think loving plus the abilities is the point. And so I hope that it'll make us create a better society, more equality, more joy, you know, oneness, seeing all of the sacredness of life, which I've had downloads about. So I don't know. But, right now, like it doesn't seem like the world's very good. So
No, not quite at the moment. Here's one for you then. Do you think we're evolving towards that, the betterness
Mhm.
of humanity, for the first time, or are we redoing it? We've done it in the past, maybe.
I mean, I've heard people talk about Atlantis and Lemuria. Is that what you're talking about?
Not, it doesn't have to be that. It could be like millennia before that. I just wondered, as a
Mm,
species, has humanity got to the full
mm.
psychic levels, and then a cataclysm has destroyed us, and then we're starting again, and then we always end up there.
Oh, I don't know. Ooh, my third eye is really pulsing while you're asking me that question, so it must
Sorry.
be something going on. I don't know. I think but I think it's possible we've done this before, but it's almost like we've never done it this way in a way. I don't know. Um, I
That makes
do
sense.
think there's a lot of stuff we don't understand, and sometimes I don't want to say too much because I'm like I'm gonna sound like I have my dad's voice in the background of my mind all the time. Like this is too wacky. Love you, Dad, but I do think there's a lot more going on than we're able to see every day.
Can I say
So,
this to you then? If
hmm
you, I will not judge you negatively in any way, shape, or form. I actually think I'm probably more open than you might think I am, but I
yeah,
just
sure
ask a
you
lot of
are.
logical
Yeah,
questions. So
yeah.
if you think you're sounding wacky, you're not to me.
Okay,
I
cool.
love everything. So if you want to say it, don't
It's
worry.
not really you, it's more me because I mean, my experience to me is manageable, but if I start talking about like star seeds and like galactic family and all of that, I don't know if that will like lose some of what I don't know. But I also think it's possible that there are a bunch of people here helping trying to awaken humanity that don't necessarily have earthly origins, just to put it
That's no, that's
simply.
fair. Again, I've heard this before, so you're not alone. You're not crazy. I
Yeah,
just
thanks.
it's like what I said earlier. I'm a seeker. I'm on this mission, and the more people that say the same things, it's skewing me in a direction of what I think or how the
Yeah.
universe works, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
ultimately trying to get to.
That's so cool. I love it. I love that you're on this journey. It's beautiful and that you're sharing about it. It's awesome.
I think you have to, don't you?
Yeah.
Be an open book.
But here's what I learned in my experience and after. It's one thing you can think about all kinds of things out there, and there are so many possibilities of what's happening, but it really does all come back to your heart. It comes back into your own experience of love, your heart, connection to source, creator. And then it's like, it doesn't necessarily matter everything that's happening outside of you. Are you connecting your heart to love? And are you accessing your spiritual abilities and learning? Because I think there are a lot of people that talk about what's actually going on behind the scenes. But for me, it's like, I always needed to bring it back to what's helping my life be better, what's helping me be a better person, and like kind of helping the world. I don't know. So,
No, that's right. I agree with you on that 100%.
yeah.
Why a 2 year long transformation experience for you, as opposed to, say, an NDE where it seems almost instant that people get their awakening?
I think that's a great question. I think because mine happened in real time, I never left the earth and it was happening while I lived my life. So it was almost like it had to be woven into my life as I was living. And so if I had too much all at once, I don't know how I would have functioned ever. Like it was already hard enough kind of to go through all this. But also like my traumatic period after my trauma, I had about a year and a half, 2 year period of a lot of bad stuff because I was bullied and all this stuff. And then it almost feels like it mimicked that, like almost in my life. But I've met other people that they had 2 year STEs. So maybe it's a time period. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if it is,
Yeah.
that's amazing on it in itself. But I think your justification or your reasoning was valid, which is you at that point you just needed a longer one to help you integrate it properly. Because maybe if you
Yeah.
did have an ND, it might have fractured you more.
Yeah, it would have been
It's
too
been too
much. But
much of a
this was,
shock.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like the light just kind of got woven in. And then, yeah, then I could live a different kind of life. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I hope we can all have spiritual awakenings. I think they're happening faster and more often, honestly.
Well,
So,
I hope so as well, because more people need to see through the crap that we're presented a lot of the time, don't we? Don't they?
yeah,
Let's be
yeah,
fair.
for sure. Yeah.
Is logic here on Earth preventing people from getting closer to the angels and the source message?
I think sometimes, yes. So there's two sides to it. I think if you're only in your logical mind, you will say all of this makes no sense. There's no evidence. But a lot of what the evidence is how you feel. Like I felt better from this experience. I slept better. I felt connected. And then I can get guidance and visions and dreams or whatever that are beyond logic. So I do think if you're only in your logical mind, you might be blocking your experience because one thing that helped me was that we're mind, body, and spirit. And I think, yeah, mind is great for what it's great for, but like your spirit is needs to be part of it too. But at the same time, logic helped me decide my experience was real. I was like
That's true. Yeah.
reasoning out how could this be real? What makes the most sense? And like that helped me. So it did help me accept it too. So.
I suppose logic also keeps you alive because you decide to buy the groceries for that week, and therefore you don't
Yeah.
die. So that is all.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Um, it's a big one for you then. Who or
Okay.
what is God, and why did he or it or whatever it is create this place?
Wow. There's so much more to that than I know. And I figured this question was coming because I did write the word God and I feel like, oh my gosh, that's such a big word. Everyone has like so many thoughts about it, but I didn't even mean to write it. But it just feels like it was love. Like I feel like God is like a totality of love. And it's so much bigger than us, God. I don't know. And I think I've heard and read different spiritual books, and I kind of like the idea that we're God experiencing God, or like God is so big, and we come down to have a physical experience individuated in this planet. Maybe to forget and come back to
Yeah, I like that. Like a theme park. Somebody told me the other day.
it.
You wouldn't want to come back to the same place knowing that you've already done that ride. So he says, yeah,
Yeah.
we forget so that you can experience that ride, the joy for the first time again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's also like, there's a book called The Little Soul in the Sun. Have you heard of Neil Donald Walsh or any of those
I
books?
haven't. No, no.
It's the idea that, you're in heaven and experiencing all this light and then, you say I am love or I am forgiveness. You can't really know what that means until you've experienced the opposite. And we come down into the physical to
Yes.
experience the opposite so we can actually be like, "Oh yeah, I am forgiveness or I am love because I've gone through the opposite of that."
Yes, it's experiencing the contrast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Now, I want to move into what you've done since your experience, how things have changed for you, and you run spiritual teaching or coaching sessions now. So,
hmm
how or what do you do?
Okay, so what I do is, well, it's taken me years to get to this point because it ended in 2008. And so it's not like it just happened overnight. It took many, many years of me figuring denial, reintegration, accepting, training. Now I do work basically healing and messages with people where I basically recreate my spiritual experience every session. I sit in the light with my client or my person that I'm working with, my peer, really, and I bring light through. We do this light visualization with both of us, and then I just start to hear messages and healing. And basically, I call them sacred soul sessions. I received that in prayer, and it's really just to help people get back in alignment with their souls and like who they actually are. And that's all it is. And I do, Monday and Fridays I do that work. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm still a speech pathologist, which was what I was in graduate school for. So I have a really good balance between the two, but it is like, yeah, people, I work with all kinds of people for all kinds of reasons. Some are going through illness, some are having spiritual awakenings, some just want guidance on a family member. And, my stepdad did tell me to never take credit for anything I do. It's all God that does all of it. And so I really do try to sit and like just let it come through and give people what they need. So it's really beautiful. It's an honor to do it. I love doing it.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. And I love that. And a question I often ask people is, do you feel you're home doing this?
Yeah, that's true. I do feel more home. I do. It feels like, for a long time it just felt very confusing. I didn't know why I had this happen and what was I supposed to do with it or anything. But yeah, it does help me feel more in touch and like it has a purpose. Because what helps me is like seeing other people going through healing or whatever they're going through and getting to help them through it makes it really worth it. So I do feel that, but I'll never feel as at home as I did. Like I felt so much light during my spiritual experience. I've basically had a feeling of homelessness ever since.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
I
used,
get you on that one. Other people who said they've had NDEs say the same. This pales into insignificance compared to.
yeah. And it's like I can kind of get back into places like that in meditation, prayer, like doing these sessions, but it's still not the same,
No, I
sadly.
imagine not. Now, obviously, the people you help, right? You're seeing basically yourself back in time in a way, aren't you? Because
hmm
you're there at that point
Yeah.
where you had your intervention, so to speak. Do they ever, like ones that have graduated your coaching sessions, do they ever come back to you and say, "Oh, by the way, now I'm a coach," or "Now I'm doing this"? Do you get to see the
Sometimes,
end result?
yeah, that
Yeah.
is great. Yeah, they do tell me they feel better. I mean, some people feel better pretty fast. So it's either a combination of like somebody's going feel really depressed or lost or confused, or they're having spiritual awakenings. And it's just really great because I truly believe everyone can heal. And then I get to tell them they're not crazy if they're having an awakening because that's like because I was the one that thought I was crazy too. So it's really great. And they do, have they come back and been coaching? Not quite yet. I just started doing this a couple years ago, but I'll have to
Okay.
keep an eye out. There might be a few. I have worked with people who are actively working already and they come to me. So that's an honor when like channelers or psychics come see me. I'm like very honored when they come to me. So
No, fair play,
yeah.
fair play. A question, right? That's going to sound pointed or odd or
hmm
misogynistic. This genuinely
Oh,
not meant that way. Right? This is
okay.
my
Well, I don't get
genuine
offended
curiosity.
easily. You're good. You're good.
Lovely, good. What is the mix like of people that come to see you? And the reason I ask that because from what
Mm.
I see, it seems like it's mostly females.
I
Not
don't know. I
necessarily
have a
just
lot
you,
of
but I mean in the
guys
whole.
in
Am
the
I
whole.
being wrong with my perception?
No, I mean, I think I have a lot of women, many women, but I have a lot of guys. Some of my most regular clients are men. And so I think it's a mix. I think it's really a mix, but it may be like 60-40. Um, and I think, it just depends on who's awakening when. And sometimes men feel more comfortable working with men and women feel more comfortable working with women. So, but
So it might
I
not
really love
necessarily
working with
bear out. Yeah.
everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
See, that I was going to ask you a subsequent question if that was borne out to be the truth that it does seem to be mainly women that go through these things or are attracted to the spiritual side of healing and that. And I
Yeah.
wonder, what is it that's enabling females to do it and men not to do it?
Huh, that's interesting. Um, I think women maybe because the way the world has been, or because we become mothers sometimes, not every, like maybe it's because of that. But, then when you say that, I think of all these men, especially younger men who are into this stuff now. It's interesting. I don't think it's just women, but I think women are more naturally attuned in some ways. And I don't want to say more naturally. Maybe it's just more accepted for women to have felt their emotions because I know so many men were told to stop feeling your feelings. And I think when
Mm.
you do that, you kind of, there's like a little bit of a harder way to reach your spiritual side because, your heart to me is really what started my spiritual awakening. So I don't know. But I really have a lot of hope because I've worked with many amazing women and many amazing men and younger and older, like really every age. It's so amazing. And to see that everybody is kind of awakening. But who knows? Who knows?
Who knows indeed? I don't know. That's why I asked the question. Who knows? Um, a question I'll ask you now that we've kind of almost answered, but I'll say it again because I've written it. Is this the path you're meant to be on, and why?
Yes, I tried not to do this. But my stepdad in my 20s told me I was going to be very popular and that I was going to make a name for myself with all this stuff. And I've had two other healers during my STE tell me that I was going to be a teacher. And I just remember thinking, I don't believe in anybody saying anything about the future. I don't really know what y'all are talking about. And I really tried not to do any of this. And then I kept feeling like I had to do it. So anyway, I think it's interesting. I keep thinking about that the last few months. I'm like, gosh, they were right. How did they know that I was going to end up doing this? But yeah, I'm definitely supposed to be here. I definitely feel much more aligned, like actually living in the truth of my spiritual awakening and sharing about it and doing work with it. It was really hard to get to this point because my ego super resisted it, but I'm here. So
Yeah, that's what they say, though, isn't it? Get out of the way of yourself,
yeah,
and that's the hard thing to do if you're
yeah.
grounded in the eye. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I think a lot of people that now that I meet, they want to have a spiritual experience and they want to be a spiritual teacher, but that was the last thing I wanted in my life. I just wanted to be normal and hang out with my friends. Sorry.
Well, no, that's not your path. Accept where you are.
Yeah.
Now your book. What
Yeah.
drove you to write that book? What was
I
were you
just,
told to?
no, well, I just had a few people because I was posting these messages like on Instagram that I would get basically similar to my spiritual experience. I'd just receive a message, write it down, and people were reading them and saying, I love this. A couple people said, I wish I had a book to hold of all these messages. And so over time, and I thought, I go speak at this conference usually almost every year since I started sharing my story. I speak at the International Association for Near Death Studies.
Hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a book in time for this. And I know I'm supposed to write more book, like I'm supposed to probably write my memoir of awakening or whatever. But this was like I already had these messages. They were sorry, I'm looking at my shelf where it is. They were just easy, and I just wrote it. And it was, I had someone tell me right before we started recording this interview. I had a session with someone, and she said, during my awakening, I felt very confused, and your messages in this little book really helped her. So that has meant a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That goes back to what we said earlier of the other things. You might do or say something, and in this case, you've
Yeah.
written it down that's going to help someone, and you wouldn't have known of that if she hadn't have said that to you on that session.
I know, it was
But
so
you'd have still
nice.
helped her. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. And it wasn't me, it came through me. I don't really take credit for all that wisdom because it's smarter than me. So,
I know, but you still had to be the person doing it, though, didn't you? As in facilitating it, putting it out.
well, yeah.
So you
Yeah,
still
that's
did the
true.
work. Yeah, fair
That's
play to
true.
you.
Thank you.
Um, right, I'm going to ignore that question because we've just covered that. I want to ask you about your dreams, right? You
Hmm.
have precog dreams, sort of.
Hmm.
Is there any recent ones you've had that haven't come to pass yet?
Well, there's one that's happening now in our world because I don't normally have. Okay, one, I had a dream about my one of my really good guy friends meeting his wife a couple years ago, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's no time in the spiritual world." And I woke up like, "This, my friend's gonna meet his wife today." I was so excited. I like messaged him the whole dream, and I don't think he's met her yet. And it's been a
Oh,
couple years, and I'm like, I
is he still waiting at the train station with some flowers?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, oh, and it was really vivid, and I'm like, okay, and he, anyway, so we'll see. I'll keep you posted. But I did have a big dream about the the world and about all the changes we're going through right now. And it was very specific about like different world events and disasters and difficult times. Like, and that humanity was in a crosswalk, and like every way that basically we could deal with the drama, like issues, the wars and things, was to help like what come together, be loving towards one another, and like basically connect across the planet. I saw that anyway. I don't know. So we're walking through that crosswalk right now because at the end of it is like a bunch of beautiful light and a lot of love, but we're in the crosswalk. So I know it sounds kind of abstract. I've written about it, but other dreams that haven't happened, I'm not sure. I'm waiting. I did see the stock market drop a whole bunch, but I think maybe we already did that. I can't tell. I keep waiting for it to, but who knows?
You're looking for the big dip to buy back when it's
Just
low.
because I
Yeah.
want to know if my dream was right, or if it
Yeah.
was projecting. But no.
Well, that's
So yeah.
possible, isn't it? Well, with the whole Iran thing going on and the oil shenanigans going on today with like countries turning off their oil and stuff. So maybe that is around the corner. Who knows?
I don't know. But like regular life small dreams, I've had a few. I don't know. Yeah. It's
Hey,
fun. It's interesting. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
no, I was going to say about the dreams. You mentioned like you have some trivial ones every now and again. In the dream, right? Say you were like you saw yourself eating a piece of toast.
Hmm.
Can you taste that toast in the dream?
No, no, actually, the way that they're different is that it seems like there's a spotlight in the dream, and whatever people say to me, it just feels more real. So, like a really trivial one, I don't know why it stands out so much because it was so long ago, but it was really one of my first ones that I was like, oh, I'm definitely dreaming things that are happening. But we were just talking in a cafe with my friend, and he starts speaking Russian to me. And I'm like, why is he speaking Russian? And he's like, oh, he has a Russian girlfriend. I wake up the next morning and I'm like Googling my friend or finding him on Facebook at the time. And yeah, he's like dating a Russian girl and he's learning Russian. It's just like really boring, weird, not boring, but I just think our souls are meeting in the dream world.
It's
So,
certainly validating, isn't it? If you look it up and then it's true.
yeah.
Have you had any
Yeah.
ones where you look it up and it isn't true? That you then think, what the?
Oh, one of the weirdest ones, and this is like a really secret dream I've never told, but I hope none of my friends watch this one. I
They
had
won't.
a dream, like I had a group of friends and I didn't know that there was some affairs happening, but I had a dream
Oh,
about
whoa.
it all getting exposed the day before it got exposed. And I was like very confused about why they're opening up all these things in the dream. And it was like basically all the secrets coming out and then my other friend leaving and getting really mad. And I wake up like, that's a weird dream. And then like the next day, like everything came out. So that was crazy. But it's not like everyone's having an affair. It was more like I saw a bunch of things getting opened, a bunch of gifts opening they were a pile of secrets in the dream, I guess.
Mm.
And then one person getting mad. I don't know. Yeah, it was stuff like that. When you see things happening in the dream world, it's like a little symbolic, but it's also real. It was a bummer of a dream and a bummer of a situation.
But also
So,
highly interesting, though, isn't it? You must. It's
mhm.
so fascinating. Do you sometimes think to yourself, why have I got this, and do I like having this?
Oh, no, I love having it. In fact, when I don't have psychic dreams, I'm like, I need to get my stuff together because if I'm overworked and overthinking, which I haven't had a ton of psychic dreams precognitive dreams the last few weeks. I've had some where I'm meeting, and honestly, last night I had a few dreams where I was hanging out with my friends and I'm sure they were real. But I love having them. My stepdad had them too, and it's helpful, it's fun, and it just makes life a little more interesting. Now, I don't love I guess it was nice to know the secrets that were going on, but I don't want to necessarily see the bad stuff. I like seeing the happy,
That
cute
makes
things about
sense.
my friend meeting his wife and whatever like that. So,
So let's just say, right, tomorrow you change
yeah.
your life, and you take yourself out to some sort of like nature retreat. Not necessarily your cabin in the woods, but like one where you can forget everything for say 10 years. Do you think you'd have one of those precogs every night because you're so stress free?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think it is honestly, if you think of it like the chakra system, it's more clear. Like, I don't know. I think when I'm more clear energetically, it's not gunked up. I can see more stuff in my dreams. And yeah, I think if I did stop my job, stop doing all my stuff and go move to the woods or go be peaceful for like 10 years. Yeah, I tried to do that, but then I realized that wasn't my path. I'm supposed to be out here. I live in a city now and I'm supposed to be talking and sharing and like not just being the monk in the woods or on a hilltop. Some
No,
people are meant to do
I'm with you.
that, and
Yeah.
I wish it were that were my path, but it's not.
A subsequent question then.
Yeah.
You're getting snippets, aren't you, of life?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be related to you. It could be related to your friends or whatever. How do you think they are guided to that location of, sorry, not location, to that specific bit of information? And then why that specific? Why not Brian you met the other day at the petrol station? Why not his life? Why your friends on that bit?
I don't know because I think our souls are connected more than just strangers. But I did have a dream about a stranger once and it wasn't a good one and it turned out to be true. Where but I think it is like people we all have soul families and I do believe we're interacting on the astral plane in our dreams and I think I just meet my friends. But sometimes people drop in that I'm not as connected to. Like this one time when I was living in the town in the woods, like still having a lot of really, really psychic dreams. Um, I remember having a dream about a guy that lived in the town. He was a little old, like maybe 10 or 15 years older than me. I did not know him. That in the dream, he's sitting in a chair facing away from me and he's like trying to look at me, but he's really upset and crying about something and he just won't look at me and he's really stressed and crying. And I see him in the coffee shop a few days later and I was like, I had a dream about you. Like then I didn't know, was I supposed to tell people or not? I just still don't know. But he was like, oh, I hope it was a good one. And I was like, oh, it was like it was a
That's
fine
what
one.
he
I don't
was
know.
thinking. Yeah.
But it turned out like a month or maybe a few months later, it turned out he'd been stealing money from the town. He had a position with the town, like
Ah.
council or something, and he'd been like taking money and he got arrested for it. So in that dream, I saw like his stress over the secrets that he was carrying.
And also not looking though, like because he's being
Yeah.
shifty.
Yeah, and like why was it me and why wasn't he looking at me? But maybe it's because I like had this connection with the light or his soul, and
Hmm.
I should have said, you need to stop me.
Yeah,
I
stop
should have
it.
told him
Stop
the whole
nicking.
dream right then. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But to go further on my question, and I like
hmm
your answer, but it wasn't quite my intention. So
Okay.
I'll explain a bit further. Let's just say you've got a friend, Dave, and you've got
hmm
friend Steve. And one night
hmm
you go and you have a dream, and you have a dream about Dave. But why not Steve? Why not something in Steve's life? So why is it directed there to that specific bit of information, and why not this way?
Because I think some of us we're closer in the soul world than other. Like I have dreams about certain friends of mine that I don't really even talk to. And like they will show up in the dream world and we really know each other at a soul level, but other people that I see every day don't show up in my dreams. And I think it's just because there's a soul connection. We have a soul family and like whether or not you're talking to these people or not, like you're just more connected. Maybe they're thinking of me too. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do think there's people that don't show up because they're not part of our soul family. And it's not
No,
that they're
that's
bad.
fair.
I'm sure there's other dreams for them for other people to have about them.
Yeah, that's it. It's just not you, it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, I have to ask this now before I ask you the final question before we jump into the Koit zone. But why does Katie Sackhoff enter my mind?
Who is that?
Okay, she is a an actress who
Okay.
does Star Wars, some Star Wars stuff, and
Okay.
I'm into
Oh,
Star Wars
cool.
and other sci-fi things like Battlestar Galactica. Look her up afterwards, but I think she should play you in a movie of your life.
Oh, cool. I would love
Yeah.
that. Katie Sackhoff. I love it. And I've heard a lot about Star Wars in this spiritual community that a lot of people believe all the sci-fi movies are real. It's talking
They
about
are.
true galactic history. And so I don't know, that'd be great. Okay, yeah, that'd be if I ever have a movie of my life, that would be very, very cool.
Look her up. Trust me,
I
you
will.
remind me of her massively. Or should I
Oh,
say,
cool.
she should remind herself of you. Because
You're
you're the
sweet.
prime, aren't you? Yeah.
Aw,
Okay.
thanks.
I want you to tell me. I know you've already said some stuff that would be considered strange, but
hmm
is there anything else strange that has happened in your life? Just a random
Yes.
event.
Yes, this was what I almost brought up earlier about the subway. So when I was in Washington, D.C. in
Hmm.
college, I was studying there for the semester. Um, and I was on the metro and it was my 21st birthday. Okay. Someone out of the blue walks up to me that I do not know, and I swear I know I sound crazy. He says, "Happy birthday, Rebecca. Things are going to get easier soon." And I was like, "What?" Like, I was like, how do you know my name? How do you know it's my birthday? And he said, "I come from out there." And that's it. And he's like, things will get easier soon. And then he like got off the train. It's really weird. I know
Come from out
I was like, was
there.
I talking to myself on the train? But it was very real. And I always remember he came up and said, "Happy birthday, Rebecca." And he came from out there. I didn't know what that meant.
So did other people see this person
I have
and
no idea.
interact? because that would
That's
be
the only
interesting,
time
wouldn't it?
something like that's happened to me.
Yeah, it makes me think three directions here. One, it was a spirit that you actually saw
Hmm.
walking through and interacting with you because it knew you could see.
Hmm.
Or two, was it an alien saying we're out there? Or
Hmm.
three, was it an angel, you know, being? What do you think?
I mean, I have tried to kind of decided it was like a star being that I was connected to that I don't know. Or maybe it was angel, honestly, is it the same thing? Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to think that was really weird and I've tried to forget about it until I was around spiritual people and then I would tell them and be like, "Oh, cool, that's so neat. This alien contacted you on the metro."
Yeah.
So, but on my birthday, and I think it was kind of like you know, a
An
message that things would
introduction.
get easier. Yeah, and things did get
Yeah.
easier. I started healing at 23 and I think back to that a lot. Like that was so strange. But I don't think I'm supposed to know that much. I think there's some people that get downloaded with everything galactic, all the information in the universe, and I think I'm supposed to just have like tiny snippets that make no sense that
Yeah,
I
but I
just talk
reckon they
about.
will at some point because they're like small pieces of jigsaw puzzles, and then at some you're going to put them all together at some point, and then see that
Yeah.
bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah, maybe when I get to the other side. But I
Yeah,
think
possibly.
honestly, like, I think part of my mission is to make this stuff really accessible and regular. And like, if I were like, let me tell you the history of all of the galaxies and every alien race, like a lot of people would just check out. Like,
Yes.
so I think I'm just like, yeah, I am a regular person. This stuff happened to me. I don't have a lot of answers about it, but
Thinking
yeah,
back on that chap,
yeah,
old train boy,
yeah,
can you see his face now? And could you draw it if you were a really good art?
yeah, yeah. He was, yeah, darker hair. I think he was dressed in a suit, maybe. Yeah, and who
He didn't
knows?
get you a gift though, did he?
No, but I was like, was he carrying balloons? I don't know if he was carrying balloons or not. Maybe he wasn't or was. Yeah, I know. It was so interesting. And, I don't have a lot of stuff where you, it's just like that, like someone's talking to you, but
Hmm. Well, as
it's
long as it wasn't a
interesting.
single red balloon and he's trying to entice you down into the sewers like that
Okay,
it
that's
thing.
terrifying. That movie's
Yeah.
so scary. Yes, no, it was
Sorry.
not a single red balloon. It's so funny. He was very nice, very, very loving feeling. So,
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I enjoyed that story. Thank you very much. But
okay.
now it is time we entered the Koit zone. Koit zone! So, random questions. We'll start
Okay.
with an easy one as always. What is your favourite song or piece of music?
Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to say Ravel because I used to play classical piano. I still do. I like
Lovely.
Pavane to a Dead Princess, D'un Enfant Defunct. I don't want to mispronounce it, but yeah, it's a piano piece. Hmm.
I don't know it off the top of my head. Maybe if you played it, I might be aware of it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I might know the tune, but
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
it by name, so I apologise for that. But
Hmm.
thank you for letting me know. What food item smells nice but tastes gross?
Oh my goodness. A tapioca pudding is the first thing I think of. Even though I don't hate tapioca pudding, it doesn't taste that good. I mean, it's kind of weird tasting. Yeah. Mm, yeah, that's all I
There
can
you
think of.
go. That's your
Are you
answer.
going
Fair
to
play.
answer it too, or is it just me?
It's just for you, but I mean, I've got loads because I'm quite a fussy eater. So there's loads
Oh,
of things that
okay.
I think smell nice, like curry, as an example, smells nice to me. When I walk past the chip shop and they've got curry going, I think, oh, that smells nice. But I know I would hate it because of all the ingredients in it. But
Oh, okay. I
yeah,
like curry, but okay, that's cute. That's funny. Okay, look, the next question. I like these questions.
right. Which dead person from history would you like to have met?
I mean, probably Jesus. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool to know. We could ask a bunch of questions. But besides like a religious figure, one of my great grandmothers probably. Is she a historical figure? Not
Of
really, but
course. No, she is. She's from history,
okay.
isn't she? She's from your
Okay.
history. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. Let's go with that. If you had to put yourself into one movie universe and thus live out your life in that movie universe, what are you choosing?
Okay, let me see. I guess What Dreams May Come. Have you seen that movie?
I have, but it would have been years ago, so I can't
It was
really
like,
remember it.
yeah. Or maybe The Matrix. But What Dreams May Come was kind of like about a near-death experience. It's like about the other side. That's pretty cool.
I'm going to look it up again after this to remind myself of it. But I know I've seen it. I just don't. I
But
can't picture it in my head.
I was also just watching Wonder Woman, and that's cool. Like the island, that seemed pretty cool.
Oh, the original Wonder Woman. I
Well,
mean Gal
the
Gadot
one,
one, but
yeah,
the
the
first
Gal
one.
Gadot one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah. That's the best one of those. I didn't like Wonder Woman 2.
I didn't see
Or
it.
the
I think I
third one.
tried to. Wonder Woman 1 was so good though.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Have you ever broken a bone?
No, I'm one of those strange people who never have.
Have you ever gone outside?
Yeah. But there's some of us that I might have maybe broken a pinky toe. But I was never confirmed if I did. So I don't think I've ever broken one,
No, fair
thankfully.
play. Good on you. When's the last time you climbed a tree?
Oh, a while. I watched my daughter climb trees a lot though. Does that count? She climbs trees a lot.
I'm gonna have to say no because that's not you. Or is it you? It's a small you, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess I need to work on that. I'll work on that this spring. Climb some
Yeah, get
trees.
climbing. It's good for you. What's the most dangerous thing you've ever done?
Lived in Russia. I studied
What?
abroad there, and I don't know if that was dangerous, but I think I was in a few different dangerous situations that I didn't realize I was in at the time, or like backpacking, went to Bosnia, and I don't know.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't
Hopefully
know. Is
not
that
during the conflict.
after? But yeah, I mean, I felt safe, but I just realized looking back, probably not that safe. The other thing that was dangerous, maybe living in a cabin in the woods alone and getting carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That does take it. Yeah, well done. Can you cook?
Yeah, I can if I decide I want to. Yeah, I can cook okay.
And what's your favourite thing to cook?
Well, I can't remember. I'll just say grilled cheese and tomato soup. That's my daughter's favorite thing to eat.
There
So.
you go. Fair play. Um, what annoys you?
I think sometimes if someone's chewing really loudly next to my ear, I don't like that.
Well, right next to your lamp. How often does that happen?
I don't know, but like close enough that it's annoying. Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
So if you're like in
It's
a
just more,
restaurant and you're close and they're going yum yum, that you
no, just sound sensitivity, maybe in my own house. What else annoys me? I get weirdly annoyed with I feel like I work really hard and then other people don't work hard. But that's a silly thing. I know that's just me projecting. Not everybody's meant to be hardworking in this lifetime. But I'm always like, what are you? I don't understand what you're doing.
No, I'm with you on that. I used to work in an office years ago, right? And I know I've got a hard work ethic, and I would do my job and I'd do it bloody well, and I would constantly take loads, and I'd see other people not doing it, and that would annoy me. So that's that, isn't it?
You get
Big
it.
time.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
what?
Like, come
Yeah.
on, move.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know we shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, that was one for me as well.
That's
Okay,
funny.
final question in the Koit zone. Aliens visit you and offer you a chance to go and see their planet. Are you going?
Yes. Does anyone say no to that? Yes. It depends on if they're nice aliens. If they're mean aliens, no. But if they're nice aliens, yes.
What if it's a one way and you don't know if they're good or bad?
I guess I'd have to say no. If it's one way and I don't know if they're good or bad, I'd probably say no. But if they are definitely good and they're shaking me to their utopian planet so I can see humanity's future potential, I would say yes.
Now, here's going to be a horrible question to ask as a subsequent of that. Obviously, you've got a family.
Hmm.
Would you leave them to do that?
No, I would have to take my daughter or not go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I was going with that. Because,
Yeah.
some people have said to me before, yeah, I would go on my own.
With,
And you think,
without their
fair play?
kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Maybe they're tired of being a parent.
Yeah,
Or
could
maybe their
be.
kids are older. My daughter's still young, so yeah.
They just hate their kids. Who knows? It's possible. Okay, that is the end of the Koit zone, which leaves us two final questions. First of which, what else do you like to do in your downtime? Any activities, stroke, guilty pleasures?
I like to play piano. I love to read. I know that sounds all very boring. I like to walk outside, hang out with my friends. I love doing that. Yeah.
Doesn't sound boring. If you like doing it, it's right for you and it's good. It's not. It's never boring. Never
Hmm.
boring.
Thanks.
And that it reminds me actually of when the people used to say to kids to bully them at school, "You're a dork. You're a geek because you like
Yeah.
X." Well, no,
Yeah.
they found the thing they like first before you have. So actually, they're
Yeah.
winning and you're not.
That's a good point. That's a
So
good
you're
point.
winning because you know what you like, which is your piano and this, that, and the other. So well done.
Yeah. Thanks.
Final question: is there a project that you're working on? Is there a next book or
Oh
anything
yeah,
like that?
I'm gonna take a remote viewing class with the Moreau Institute this summer, and I'm excited
Lovely.
about that. Yeah, I was like, let me just do a little bit of extra skill building because I don't know much about remote viewing, so I'm gonna do that, and that's with this like general who trained people in it. So I'm excited.
I have to ask you a question. What inspired that? Is it because you want to go and see something specifically?
No, it was because, I connect with the angelic realm and it's all very beautiful, but I don't know. I was reading UFO of God, Chris Bledsoe. He talked a lot about the Monroe Institute and remote viewing, and I keep hearing about it. I'm like, you know what? I'll check that out. It just seems like a fun, intellectual, spiritual blend of a hobby. So I'm gonna try it.
Gosh. Well, if
I
you
think
ever
it'll make
see
me.
any alien bases, can you let me know and tell me where they are and stuff?
I will. I've heard some crazy things that remote viewers have seen. So yeah, I'll totally let you know what I see.
Please, 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 please.
Okay.
Someone has to spill the secrets. We need to know. Rebecca, thank you ever so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you ever so much for coming on.
Thank you, Koi. This was amazing. You're so fun. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. You are too. For anyone watching or listening, please check out the links in the description and go see Rebecca's site, etc., etc. And go and buy her book. Get on it. Lovely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. See you. Goodbye. And we'll see everyone
Bye.
on the next one. Bye bye. To watch other KoitCast episodes, please click the image top left. To subscribe to my channel, please click the image top right. Please like and share to help KoitCast grow, and most importantly of all, please click the notification bell so you never miss an upload.